Yes, yes, yes. Welcome to the fourth episode of the Big Dawg's Yard. Thank you for joining us. The gate is open, and I'm off my leash. Today, we want to talk about something that's kind of been bothering me for quite some time. I've had several discussions with friends and colleagues and whatnot, and my family has heard me speak on it, and finally a platform of some kind to get it in. I had a couple other things I wanted to talk about, but I'm going to get right to it. As you know, the topic of this show, or the title of the show is He is the President, Not Somebody's House Slave. And those of you who've been living under a rock for the last 4 years may not understand that our President, Barack Obama, our first president of color, has been disrespected at so many turns and in so many ways. It is unfathomable how this is possible for anybody to disrespect the President of the United States. You can disagree with the President of the United States. You don't have to like the President of the United States. But some of the stuff that has gone on and continues to go on is just downright disrespectful, and based on history, some of it may even just be illegal. But it's okay when you're talking about the black man. Now, I'm sure I could come up with dozens, maybe even hundreds of instances of him being disrespected, but I'm going to go with 5 that kind of jumped out at me without getting too technical in terms of stuff that goes on in the Senate and the House, because I'm sure that those people are disrespectful to him on a regular. Our first instance, Arizona Governor Jan Brewer, some time ago, the president went to Arizona to meet with her to talk about her immigration issues that are going on in Arizona. And this white woman, stuck her finger and wagged her finger in the president's face, scolding him like he was somebody's child, or like she was talking to her house slave, like her houseboy who neglected to shine her shoes properly, or who neglected to keep the grounds as manicured as she would like, and her guests were embarrassed, or he spilled some tea on her favorite Sunday suit that she wanted to wear to brunch. I mean, she wagged her finger in his face, and he's taller than her, so she literally was wagging it up in his face. I mean, that's not something that you do by accident. I mean, she literally disrespected him as a man. Forget if he was the president. I mean, he's a grown man, and she is wagging her finger in his face like he was a child or less than a child, not even a child, just chastising him like she was his parent and that he was beneath her. And I'm trying to figure out where the Secret Service was. I mean, because in my opinion, you stick your finger in the president's face, that's a threat. I don't care if you the governor of Arizona, the governor of Alaska, a senator, the vice president, I don't care who you are. You stick your finger in the president of the United States' face, that's a threat. And she should have either been tackled to the ground, if it was me, she should have been tackled to the ground, or somebody from the Secret Service should have at least stepped in and been like, look, we're going to have to back up just a little bit because that's not cool. But even that didn't happen. Would we have accepted that if we had an African-American governor from any state and President Bush or President Clinton or President Bush Sr. or President Reagan or President Carter or President Ford or President Nixon? You notice how I'm going backwards with all the white men because that's all we ever had. If any of them had ever stepped off a plane or stepped out of a car and a governor of any color, honestly, but definitely of the opposite color, stuck their finger in their face, would they have been allowed to get away with that? I'm going to go ahead and say no. You can disagree if you want, but I'm going to tell you the truth, you'd be wrong. Another instance, when he was giving his speech in Congress a few years ago, and he was discussing his health care plan and whether or not illegal immigrants would be covered, and Representative Joe Wilson from South Carolina, let me say that again, South Carolina, screamed out liar. He called the President of the United States a liar on national television. Forget decorum. I mean, he broke decorum because you don't speak while the president's speaking. That's just, I mean, that's a rule. You know, that's Robert's Rules of Order and all that stuff. When someone's giving a speech, it's not question and answer period. You listen. This man just screamed out liar, and then later said, "Oh, I let my emotions get the best of me." So when the African American president is speaking, you can't control your emotions enough to respect his position. You scream out liar. Really? The president is a liar? And if he is a liar, is he the only liar in Washington? I think not. Another representative from Colorado, Doug Lamborn, in one of his discussions or speeches or comments about President Obama, called him a tar baby. Seriously? I believe this was last year, 2011, maybe even 2010, but still we're talking about 2010, 2011, and someone's still being referenced as a tar baby, not just the average man on the street that, cut him off in traffic or, bothered him on the street and he called him a tar baby. He called the most powerful man in the world, the most recognizable African-American black man in the world, a tar baby. And it pretty much was like, oh, well, he ain't mean it. How is it that it's okay to call the President of the United States a tar baby and basically just say, I misspoke? How do you misspeak tar baby? It doesn't rhyme with anything else. What was he going to call him, a car baby? Was he trying to say, you're going to go far, baby? Was he trying to say, you'll go far, maybe? Did he miss a comma? And he say, I feel like we're stuck in the tar, baby. Bull crap. This man knew exactly what he was saying. He knew exactly what he wanted to say. And, again, he felt it was okay in the back of his mind and in his heart. He felt it's okay to say this because I'm only talking about some nigga who happens to be president. That's really the mindset. He's the president, but he's still just a nigga. So what? We don't have to respect him. Doesn't matter that he went to Harvard. Doesn't matter that he's married with 2 beautiful children and his wife is a success and she's gorgeous. And it doesn't matter that they're the same type of family that we keep talking about. They're married. They've had their kids were born while they were married. He doesn't have a bunch of other kids running around nowhere. None of that matters. He's doing all the so-called family value stuff they keep talking about, but it's still not good enough. He's not the right color. And seeing as how his mom is white, you would think he would get a little bit of rhythm, but no. I mean, I guess that's even worse because she hooked up with a Kenyan. It's bad enough to hook up with a nigga in America, but she hooked up with a Kenyan. Like she got a real black dude. He's from Africa. He's like real African, black, serious. How dare she let this dude touch her? And the product of their relationship, we will not respect it. Another fourth instance I have has to do more so with the First Lady, as this D.C. police officer made some statements that he could assassinate the First Lady, and he talked about what type of gun he would use. He showed the gun to some people. And that was even laughed off. He was just, it was a joke. It was a bad joke, but it was a joke. Really? This dude is charged with the protection of the first family, period. It's his job to make sure that the streets are safe when she's going somewhere and that threats are, if there are any threats, that they are identified and taken care of and whatnot. And should there be a situation, that he will step in and take care of that situation. And you make a threat like this, it's not a joke. Most jokes come out of how you really feel. People say, I'm just joking. No, they're not joking. He meant it. He said it, he laughed or he said it in a joking manner or tried to make it a light manner so people are always just joking. You're talking about assassinating the First Lady of the United States. When the hell have we ever heard something like that? Anybody ever talk about shooting Jackie Kennedy? Anybody ever talk about shooting Betty Ford? Anybody ever talk about shooting Nancy Reagan, Barbara Bush, Laura Bush, Hillary Clinton? Well, someone might have talked about shooting Hillary because she pissed some people off, but not while she was the First Lady. I don't understand it. And you got people who, the way they treat the First Lady, Michelle Obama, no First Lady's ever been under that kind of scrutiny except maybe the First Lady because she was the first one to do it. Martha Washington may have caught some flack because she was just learning the position. There had never been a First Lady before. So she may have had some growing pains in terms of how to deal with people. But we're talking about the First Lady of the United States right now, and she's disrespected for wanting to get kids up off the couch and get them healthy and get families who don't have access to adequate food and things like that. She's trying to improve that, and people have issues with this. But we didn't have issues with, Betty Ford was a drunk. And yes, she got rehab and she turned herself around, and then you got the Betty Ford Clinic, which has helped thousands of people over the years, and that is a wonderful thing, and I give all credit to them, and I think they're doing wonderful stuff. But yet, more respect is given to her than to a woman who is, as of right now, the worst thing she ever did was to pull America on the carpet and talk about some of the things America has done that she herself, as an American, was not proud of. And people she's the First Lady. She shouldn't say that. The First Lady of the United States if the First Lady of the United States cannot be truthful, who can be? We're supposed to pretend because she's the First Lady and he's the president, they're supposed to pretend that some of the crap that went on in America and still goes on in America never happened because now he's the president. He's supposed to pretend that slavery didn't happen. He's supposed to pretend that Reconstruction didn't happen and Jim Crow didn't happen and the Civil Rights movement never happened. He's supposed to pretend that there's not discrimination still going on in 2012 because he's the president. Well, he was elected president, so everything must be fine. Shut up. Michelle Obama, quite possibly the most beautiful First Lady of all time, right up there with Jackie Kennedy. If she's not the most beautiful, and I'm not a homer, as some people would say. I'm not, just because she's a black woman, I'm not going to say she's the most beautiful, but she quite possibly is. Jackie Kennedy was gorgeous. She was stylish. She wasn't the nicest person. People finding out that later. But, she's right up there. I mean, they're neck and neck. They're definitely, depending on your preference, it's either Michelle or Jackie. I mean, you go through the list and go through all the pictures of First Ladies. None of them were as pretty as these two. None of them. I'm sorry. Lady Bird Johnson? No. Sorry. Mamie Eisenhower? No. I mean, her name was Mamie. She was a little homely, but that's okay. Of another instance, in my fifth instance, before I guess I get to rock on and say some things that I need to say before we run out of time. Somebody was running for office in Carson Valley, California, and he actually said that Barack Obama should be killed and his monkey children too. Let me repeat that. He said Barack Obama should be killed and his monkey children too. If that's not a threat against the life of the president, I don't know what is. Just saying it is supposed to be treason. I mean, we all know, they probably listening in on this show now. But they know they listening. We know that certain government agencies listen for specific phrases on phones and through the internet and whatnot, and they are waiting. They're supposed to act on things that are considered a threat to national security, to the president. I mean, it's a threat. Somebody should have been showing up at his door like that day. And then eventually they investigated him and all kinds of crazy stuff. My man should have been in Gitmo. He should have been down in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, or wherever we take terrorists now, and he should have been down there for a little while going through some interrogation as to whether or not he's a patriot. All these so-called patriots threatening the life of the president, but you're a patriot because he's a socialist and he's a communist and he's a – just say what you mean, man. He's a nigga as far as you're concerned. And no matter what, no nigga is good enough to run your country. Just say it. Be honest. I've seen effigies of the president, burning effigies, hanging effigies, of course. I saw a sign one time that said Obamanomics, monkey see, monkey spend. And they had a picture, somebody drew a picture of a monkey and the face looked like Barack Obama, and then, you make it look like a monkey, but it was Barack Obama as a monkey. Monkey see, monkey spend, basically calling the president of the United States a monkey, like they call a lot of us, and then basically saying he's just spending money. And twisting the facts as usual. Let's not forget the fact that when Bill Clinton left office, there was a surplus, trillions of dollars surplus. And when George W. Bush left office, we were in a deficit. So Barack Obama came in with a deficit. And because he hasn't been able to wipe away trillions of dollars in debt, they basically wanted him to fix it. After his first 100 days in office, they were like, oh, he's a failure, this, that, and the other. That. So George Bush gets 8 years to basically put us in debt. I mean, he took a surplus. It's one thing if he came in and everything was even, and we run into debt. He came in with trillions of dollars in extra money. And 8 years later, we trillions of dollars in the red. Clinton had us in the black. Bush put us in the red. And now that Obama is in office, he's supposed to fix that. It took 8 years to make the debt, and they wanted him to fix it. They wanted him to fix it in less than one. The unrealistic expectations. And so many people who voted for him are not going to vote for him again because they wanted him to be Superman. Mind you, he can't get most of the stuff that he wants to get done because he got to work with a Senate and a Congress, a House of Representatives, a Congress, the whole body is Congress. He's got to work with a group that didn't want him in there in the first place and is going to do everything they can to make him look bad. But the people... oh, the president can't fit. Like, if he had that kind of power, he wouldn't be the president. He would be the king. He would be the dictator. He would be something else, but he would not be the president. Or he would be like President Hugo Chavez, who's called a president, but, or Castro, who's the president of Cuba, but we all know how he ran that. But our president in a democracy does not have that kind of power. It's checks and balances. The problem is it's not balanced because the old boy network don't want to work with it. And you figure if we just don't work with him long enough, the people believe that he's not doing his job. They vote him out. We get our boy in there, and then we do what we're going to do. Let me get to a couple other points before we run out of time. For me personally, I'm so concerned for the safety of our president and his family. I'm so concerned, and he's a people person. He likes to meet people, he likes to talk to people. The First Lady likes to meet people and talk to people, and I am so concerned that one of these crazy people, and I'm not even going to say crazy white people because they got some of our own people of color, black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever. They got some of the very people this man is supposed to be an inspiration for. They got some of them believing that he needs to go, and some of them would do him harm. And I'm concerned, and I pray that the Secret Service is vigilant in everywhere he goes and everywhere Mrs. Obama goes and everywhere Sasha and Malia go. I pray that they're vigilant. And I pray that somebody on his staff is paying attention to whether or not they are vigilant and can get make some changes if they're necessary. bothers me that we have so many of these people who are threatening him and his family are so-called Christians. I consider myself a Christian. I believe in Jesus. I believe he died for my sins, and I believe that by confessing my sins and being baptized that he will make intercession with me with the Lord, and I will go to heaven when I die, despite all the things I've done in my life. And some of these so-called Christians are the ones calling for him to be killed. And then, of course, they'll use the Bible to justify it. Some people have suggested that he is the first beast in the Bible in Revelations, the beast in the Bible in Revelation, that his name somehow in numerology comes out to 666 and all this other foolishness. I mean, anything to scare somebody into not voting for him or taking action against him. We need to wake up, people. And we need to be paying attention to what people around us are saying, even if our own people. Because there's people around us that are saying things about him that just don't make any sense. If you don't like him, don't vote for him. If you disagree with his politics, don't vote for him. But some of the things that are coming out of people's mouths are dangerous. And all you need is to plant that idea into one crazy person's head, and they're going to roll with it. And if anything happens to that man, America is in more trouble than it already is. We already living in the end of days, and I believe that if something happens to Barack Obama or his family because the Secret Service wasn't vigilant or we as a country allow it to happen, hell is coming early to America. Again, like I said, disagree with his politics and whatnot, but leave the man and his family alone. Now, I'm nowhere near on the level of Barack Obama. I'm not even close. But I understand where he's coming from. As a young black man, I went to an all-white or mostly white college. And for those of you who've never been in college, I was a resident assistant, and somebody who is a student who lives in a residence hall who enforces college policy. In other words, we keep everybody from tearing up the buildings. We break up the parties, and we call the security. We're basically cops without being a cop. We're like undercover cops almost. Some people would just say we're like security guards because we got to call public safety, but you say what you want. But we basically enforce college policy. And as an RA, I prided myself on simply just doing the job. I didn't play favorites. I didn't care what color you were. I didn't care if we were friends before I became an RA. If you broke the rules, you got in trouble. That was the way it was. I had discretion. I didn't have to write you up. I didn't have to necessarily put you before a discipline committee. I could just give you a warning, but I had discretion. But I still had rules to enforce. So as a black man, as a young black man in this particular college, one particular night there was a party going on, and this was my senior year. There was a party going on the hall that I lived on, the floor that I lived on, and some of my particular residents that I interacted with every single day. It was, we have quiet hours that start at a certain time. Quiet hours started at midnight on the weekend. It was now 1:30 in the morning, and I repeatedly asked them to be quiet, whatnot. Finally, I knocked on the door to ask them again, and some girl stumbled out into the hallway with a beer in her hand, a cup of beer in her hand, and spilled it in the hallway. So now I had probable cause, basically, to go in this room, and I busted their party. So they had to go before a discipline committee because at least 3 people in the room were already on some type of probation. They received further discipline issues after I testified in the discipline hearing. And then later, they actually wrote a news article questioning my integrity and questioning saying it was reverse racism because one black RA, how did my word count against 3 white students? Mind you, these are 3 basically career criminals. If for a better analogy, I mean they all were either sophomores or freshmen, and every last one of them had already been in trouble for drinking or fighting or something else on campus. So they were multiple offenders. And now here I was, and not saying that I necessarily had, didn't have my own issues at the school and things that I was going through, but I had never been disciplined by anybody. And I had, made it a point of doing what I had to do. They basically said that they shouldn't have got in trouble because even though they were career criminals, even though there was evidence, I mean, public safety showed up and it took all the beer out their room. There's the evidence right there. Despite all of that, none of that should have mattered because 3 white kids said, and the one black guy, shouldn't have believed you, even though we know you're telling the truth. Even though they pretty much admitted to what they did, it didn't matter. And in their mind, even with overwhelming evidence against them, their word, the word of 3 repeat offenders, is still better than 1 cop with a clean record. Is basically what they came with because I was a black man. And I had another guy that I spoke with when I walked. We were doing rounds, and I asked him to turn his music down or whatnot because it was quiet hours. And he actually said to another guy he was talking to as I walked away, that guy is the reason I hate black people because he don't know his place. And I could easily went back and confronted him. We talked about it later. He said he didn't remember saying it because he was drinking. But, alcohol lets you say what you really want to say. And let's face it, most racists are cowards because they'll say all kinds of crap, on the internet, on phone, on TV when nobody's actually there, or, when there's a bunch of them. I mean, you always hear about 3, 4 skinheads jumping one dude or, stuff like that. You don't never hear about one skinhead walking in the middle of North Philly and just randomly hitting black people. That's not going to happen. I don't care how big the dude is. He could be like 6'6" and 400 pounds of solid muscle. He's not going to walk down the middle, go to Broad and Erie, and just walk up to some random dude and be like, hey, nigga. That's not going to happen. But he would do it if he was walking in the middle of, say, Manayunk or, an area where there may be more people who think like him, and once they see what's going on, will be on his side. They're cowards. These guys were cowards because to my face, everything was cool, but once I didn't know my place, oh, nigga, we're going to put you in your place, and they definitely tried. They definitely tried, and that's what they're doing to our president. They're trying to put this dude in his place. As far as they're concerned, look, man, we let you be the president. We let you be the president. Don't get too big for your britches. Toby, you's a house nigga. We let you in out the field of living on the streets and that kind of stuff. You's a house nigga. Stay in your place. And because he's daring to step out, they coming for him. We got to make sure that we got our president's back. And come see me. You want to argue with a black man? Come see me. 1-on-1, come see me, and say what you got to say to my face. I don't think so. It's not gonna happen. That's about all the time I got for this week. I hope I made you think. If I made you mad, there's probably a reason for that. But we're doing the best we can until Jesus comes back. The yard is closed. Please shut my gate on the way out.
Well, meet me, Jesus, meet me. Meet me in the middle of the air. And if these wings don't fail me, I will meet you anywhere. Ain't no grave